I said it before and I'm going to say it again. It's for educational purposes. If you don't want to watch this video, if you don't want to hear about Bible prophecy, if you don't want to hear about end times and what's really going on in the world, then you don't have to stay and watch this video. It's perfect understand and respect your decision not to watch this video. But if you want to hear about that stuff and about Bible truth, then I suggest that you watch this video and hear about what's really going on, people.
Be back.
Without further ado, let's get right into it. What's breaking?
Well, Pastor, we just took an enormous step towards I don't think that I can overstate the significance of what just took place. And so we're going to dive right into this and we're going to share with the audience how we're nearing. So
let's get into it.
Right. So let's just take a look at this first article, which comes from the UN itself. It says world leaders adopt a pivotal UN pact for the future. This following article is just going to dive into exactly what the purpose of this pact is. It says here, the UN General Assembly approved a blueprint Sunday to bring the world's increasingly divided nations together. And the purpose is to tackle 21st century challenges. Of course, they mentioned climate change, AI, escalating conflicts. I just want your audience to take note that over 193 nations have signed on to this pact here. And so let's just take a look at some of the issues that this pact is going to address. And so if we look at this next article from Reuters, it says that they're going to cover themes such as peace and security. They talk about global governance and also sustainable development goals. And of course, we can discuss that a little bit later. Climate change and also digital cooperation. So these are some significant subjects that we're going to be discussing today that are all a part of this pact. But the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at this video, which is going to reiterate some of the things that I just mentioned.
Let's get right into it.
All right. Now, the UN General Assembly has given a thumbs up to a blueprint that's to bring the world's increasingly divided countries together to tackle 21st century challenges. Those ranging from climate change, artificial intelligence, to escalating conflicts and increasing inequality. The 42-page Pact for Future was adopted at the opening of the two-day Summit of the Future called by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
I called for this summit to consider deep reforms to make global institutions more legitimate, fair and effective based on the values of the UN Charter.
Right. And so now we're going to look at the significance of this pact and essentially what they're looking to achieve through this agenda here. So we're going to take a look at another article that's coming directly from the UN's website. It's entitled, it says, United Nations adopts groundbreaking pact for the future to transform global governance. And so what's included in this? It includes a global digital compact. And again, we'll unload all of this. And also it's the transformation of global governance. Now, you may be wondering exactly what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, they tell you essentially what global governance is all about. The highlighted area is going to show you that it's international, it's an international system, and international law. Now that should ring an alarm for all of us, who believe in Bible prophecy. When we know that they're going to pass a national Sunday law, it's eventually going to become an international law. And I believe that that's going to play a significant role as we're moving forward. It says the president of the General Assembly noted that the pact would lay the foundation for a sustainable, just, and peaceful global order. Of course, all of these terms are synonymous: New World Order, One World Government, global order. It all means the same thing for all people and nations. So again, I hope your audience is starting to see the significance of this pact that, again, was signed by 193 nations this past Sunday. And
I
again,
want to chime in here. It says peaceful and global order. When we hear these talking points, we must recall what the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. When they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction is coming. The end is coming. And they want to merge, they want to unite all these nations together in order to bring together all these nations they have to destroy national sovereignty. And by destroying national sovereignty, they'll also trample underfoot individual sovereignty, individual rights, liberty of conscience. Continue.
Amen. Correct. Absolutely, Pastor. And so now we're going to hear from the horse's mouth. Well, you'll hear him say that they want to establish a global order. Take a listen to this next clip.
But I strongly believe it is possible to prevent this disastrous scenario. I am confident we can build a new multipolar global order with new opportunities for leadership and with balance and justice in international relations. But multipolarity creates complexity. Left to itself, it could deepen fault lines between North and South, East and West, developed and developing economies, within the G20, and between the G20 and everyone else. And the only way to manage this complexity and avoid a slide into chaos is through a reformed, inclusive, networked multilateralism. Now, this requires strong multilateral institutions and frameworks and effective mechanisms of global governance. Without them, further fragmentation is inevitable and the consequences are clear. We see an epidemic of impunity around the world. We see some countries doing whatever it takes to further their own interests at all costs. From Russia's invasion of Ukraine to Sudan, more recently Gaza, parties to conflict are ignoring international law, trampling on the Geneva Conventions, and even violating the United Nations Charter.
It's clear to me. Go ahead.
It is, Pastor. And of course, if you're really paying attention to what he is saying, he's implying that they want all of the nations to think alike. You know, he alluded to what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, and they're kind of saying essentially that Russia is rogue in what they're doing. And of course they are, you know, but he just used that straw man to be able to show that we all need to come together and to be able to think and act alike. Now, we've, you know, partially discussed the global order, but we also want to dissect some of the other elements that are included in this pact. And so we're going to continue looking at this article from the UN. And it says the entire pact is designed to turbocharge implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I mean, we could do a presentation just on that in and of itself. So, you know, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, all of those things are wrapped up in the Sustainable Development Goals. But that's not really the apex of what we're discussing today.
Yeah, but we can't just run over that. Turbocharge the implementation of the SD goals. I mean, we're talking about the fulfillment of Volume 9, which says that final movements will be rapid ones. And we're told that the Satan's agencies of evil will be combining their forces and consolidating, that they are strengthening for the last great crisis. Great changes are soon to take place in our world, and the final movements will be rapid ones. Turbocharge, it's all in the context. They are consolidating, they're uniting. What a fulfillment of Volume 9 and page 11. Continue.
Lord have mercy upon us, right? And now, so it also mentions the Global Digital Compact, which was annexed to this pact here, right? And it says, is the first comprehensive global framework for digital cooperation. And what does that mean? So at the heart of this compact, it means that they are going to connect all people, schools, and hospitals to the internet. I just want to remind your audience that this article is coming from the UN themselves. So we're not conjecturing, we're telling you exactly what they have said in their own writings. And so, of course, they only mentioned a few things here, but we know that they're currently working on digital IDs, CBDCs, all of these things. And so they want to connect everyone to the internet.
And what's going to happen when there is a cyber attack? If everything is all linked to the internet, now they have the wherewithal to shut everything down and, quote unquote, turn the switch on, and we have a great reset.
Reset. Exactly, Pastor. You know, and I want to also